Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you, and also happy Veterans Day. Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. Well, some of you may have the day off today, but Thomas is telling us it may be a day you stay inside because it is going to be quite rainy. Isn't that right, Thomas?
Yeah, it's just going to be an overall wet day overall. For some of you already getting the rain, other areas just holding out for now, and Spokane is one of those areas that is just holding out. Cloudy skies and actually decently mild because of all that thick cloud cover overhead. It has kept our temperatures in the 40s all night long, and honestly, that's not too far away from what our average high temperature is for this time of year. But notice that most of this rainfall is pushing into northeastern Washington right now, and actually a little bit of a push into central Washington near Moses Lake. So kind of in that outer arc of the inland northwest is where all the rain is currently falling, but all that is going to fill in the next several hours.
As you wake up and head out the door this morning, we're taking a live look at I-90 in Freya. Right now, traffic is moving nice and smoothly at this hour, but rain is expected in the area, so the roads will be a little bit wet later this morning, so just make sure you're keeping that in mind as you head out the door. We'll let you know, though, if anything causes you any problems on your morning commute. We check in on weather and traffic every 30 minutes here on the show. This week is Boomtown Week here at KREM 2. Every day we'll bring you new stories tracking the latest growth and trends around the inland northwest. This morning, KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones digs into trends in Spokane and asks the question, is traffic increasing?
Well, it's a question I've not only asked myself, but one I often ask longtime Spokane residents. What I've learned is that the question itself may be simple, but what I discovered is that there's a couple layers to the answer. Do you feel like there's more cars on the road in Spokane?
Yeah, way too many.
Yeah, it seems like it stopped for a while during COVID, but it's coming back on for sure.
I do not. I think it's still average.
We've grown, we're growing like crazy. I was born and raised here, and we've got a lot more traffic.
In order to find out what exactly Spokane traffic trends look like, I went to three sources: WASH.east, the City of Spokane, and Spokane Regional Transportation Council. We'll start first with the freeway.
You compare it to 2019, and I'd say on average, we're up between 2 and 7%.
Over the last 5 years, WASH.dot officials have identified at least two hotspots on I-90. One of them being that area near the Thor-Freya exit along the Spokane and Spokane Valley line.
Going from about 130,000 vehicles per day to 136,000 vehicles per day.
The bump in total traffic daily volume has gone in both directions, but it's not the largest growth recorded on I-90.
Some slightly higher numbers a little bit further west. Sunset Hill was closer to 7%, going from 90 to almost 100,000 vehicles per day.
And a lot of that new traffic is associated with growth. Recent data from the U.S. Census shows Airway Heights, Medical Lake, Cheney, these are all areas that have had a lot of growth in the recent years, more development, new businesses, and of course that just continues to bring the population up. So at this point, we know and have confirmed there's been more cars on I-90 in recent years. Does that growth, however, translate to city-operated roads? Well, according to the Spokane Regional Transportation Council,
we're not seeing huge changes. It's a little tricky because you've got COVID that occurred just a few years ago, and that really skewed the data.
The pandemic resulted in more work-from-home scenarios, so the city roads haven't necessarily seen an increase in traffic over the last 5 years. What we do know, however, is that most data is based on looking at a year back. So we'll have to wait and see if 2024 has brought more traffic.
The region's definitely growing and will continue to grow, so that'll increase traffic.
In the meantime, if you're interested in keeping up with the latest traffic trends here in Spokane, one useful resource to keep track of that is the City of Spokane's traffic flow map. That shows us arterials like Division, Monroe, Market, and Northwest Boulevard. They average some of the highest volumes of cars in a 24-hour period. But for now, in the studio, I'm Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Our Boomtown Week coverage does not stop here. Tonight, we'll look at how the growing population in Rathdrum is impacting traffic in the heart of downtown.
I avoid that intersection at all costs. I'll go around, I'll find back roads.
It's just hectic, especially if you're trying to take a left out there onto the highway. You can sit there for 5 or 10 minutes.
The city of Rathdrum identified Highway 53 and Mill Street as the most congested intersection in the downtown area, and it's only expected to get worse as traffic volumes are projected to double. Tonight on KREM 2 News at 6 p.m., our chief journalist Amanda Rowley will share improvements the city and the Idaho Transportation Department have made to the area so far. The time now is 6:06. Let's take a look at today's top stories happening right now. There's a burn ban in place for most of Spokane County. Outdoor burning and the use of wood fireplaces are banned. The Spokane Regional Clean Air Agency put the temporary ban in place until further notice because of the poor air quality. Here's a look at the area under a Stage 1 ban. If a wood stove is your only source of heat, the agency says you are exempt from the ban. A suspect is in custody after a deadly stabbing in downtown Spokane. Police say it happened yesterday near West 3rd Avenue. The person died at the scene. Police arrested a suspect shortly after. Developing this morning, a suspect is still on the run after a deadly shooting in East Spokane. Police say it happened on Saturday on South Riverton and Lacey. If you saw the incident or have a video, call Crime Check immediately. That number is at the bottom of your screen. That is a look at this morning's top stories.
So this is a way that we can kind of welcome people in and tell those stories. We can encourage the exploration of more of those stories.
November is Native American Heritage Month, a time to pay tribute and acknowledge all of the contributions Native Americans have had on United States history. To celebrate, the Idaho State Museum hosted a talk this weekend with Randy L. Teton. She's a member of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes and the model for Sacagawea on the U.S. gold dollar coin. Now, she's the youngest and only living model on U.S. currency. She's also the author of a book about Sacagawea, which she read to kids at the museum.
American woman, and she was the first Native American to be part of a United States expedition. And I think it's important for us to look at her as an individual and really her role that she played in this expedition that, you know, is a well-known expedition, but I think we talk more about Lewis and Clark than we do about the minorities that was part of this 2-year journey.
Teton says more books written by Native American authors recently are now taking the time to share their stories.
It's 6:08, another look at our weather forecast where some areas are still getting rainfall this morning. Others just going to wait a couple more hours before we get those first raindrops for today. Here in Spokane, no rain just yet. Looks dry for the morning commute, but we're going to watch for a cold front to be passing through the region. Right now, it has moved into western Washington. That's where it's about, closer to I-5. Now, basically, as that cold front moves across the state, that's when our rain chances will start to increase. So expect that probably close to the noon hour or the early afternoon.
It's time for your wake-up call. Today is all about Veterans Day. We want to see your shout-outs. You can send in a photo or a message to the veterans in your life. You can text them to us at 509-448-2000 or use the hashtag #UpWithKrem on social media.